A group of armed people ambushed a boy in the middle of the forest. They underestimated him because he used a bow and arrow from a tree branch, but he managed to kill all 5 of them. The boy then cleaned all his belongings without leaving anything behind. He mumbled to himself, saying that things were different than what Darien had told him. The human world is so boring for him. A meeting was held and people are discussing the traces of the Demon King that will possibly be left in the Forest of Roots. They were sure that any living organism with demonic energy would not be able to pass through the barrier. Then nothing would matter. The forest itself is covered with demonic energy, so it becomes a problem when they can't use such a big piece of land. Someone suggested that if no one could get back to the forest, they would be able to use the barrier. Someone else suggested that they could use the barrier. Someone else suggested that they could use the barrier. Would not be able to get through the barrier, so nothing would matter. The forest itself is covered with demonic energy, so it becomes a problem when they can't use such a large piece of land. Someone suggested that if no one can get back safely, they should send people who must die in the forest. Will be the best way to get rid of people they have trouble dealing with. Oops, how's it going with you guys? I hope so. One night a mother was begging for her child not to be taken away. The people who took the baby claimed that a seed of darkness. They performed a ritual for the baby named Helmut. The forest as a place of exile that no one has ever returned to alive. Criminals from any group would be thrown somewhere in the forest using divine magic as they did with Helmut, but if they made it out alive their sins would be forgiven. The existence of a baby born with the seed of darkness became a sin in itself. He was thrown into the demonic place from where no one came back alive. The forest was full of demon energy. Coldness and hunger hit the child hard, but the energy that was embedded in the heart of the child emerged from him and covered him. 10 days passed and the child survived heavily. A leopard emerged who, instead of eating him, the leopard took care of him, and since then the child's fate was decided. 10 years later he became an active boy. He hunts rabbits as a source of food. The leopard named Alaga showed him the rabbit his core, which is possessed by all demonic beasts. They get stronger if they eat it, and he also supplements them with life energy and increases their lifespan. Helmut wanted to eat him, but the leopard said he could become a demonic beast and live in the forest forever after eating him. According to an old strong human that Alaga met, there is a chance for humans to leave, so he told Helmut he can leave. Hearing that Helmut was excited to meet another human, he ran towards the place mentioned by Alaga. Helmut finally found a hut that can only be made by humans. Someone suddenly attacked him, pushing his head down the ground. Helmut told the old man who attacked him that Alaga told him about the presence of another human in that forest. The man asked his intention and Helmut said that he just wanted to get out of that forest. The man introduced himself as Darien. Helmut asked him how he got to that forest. The man said that the outside world is not as beautiful or peaceful as he might think. Humans don't have claws or sharp fangs and have weak bodies, but are more cruel and cunning, tend to join forces and betray each other when necessary. People who were born with the dark seed like Helmut were usually killed as soon as they were born. Darien hoped that Helmut would come from a high place because he had been spared. Darien has a debt to pay to Alaga, so he told Helmut that as long as the dark seed is in his body he will always be hunted even if he doesn't leave this forest. First thing he needs to do to get out is to get through the forest barrier. Helmut needs to get stronger first, and then he needs to go see someone who knows how to get through this. Helmut was told to live in the hut and do human tasks, and Darien also gave him clothes to wear. Darien will also teach him what the boy can and cannot eat, as well as cook. The root organisms all have a core, and even if you remove it, the demonic energy still remains. However, there is one thing that does not have demonic energy, and that is water. They can remove the core and purify the body of its remaining demonic energy with water. Helmut now realizes that even plants are edible. Helmut was instructed to do all kinds of chores like bringing water home every day. Alaga appeared on the way. They talked about the boy's plan to leave the forest. Alaga was sad about this. Darien also forces Helmut to do some exercises. He fed him cooked food. After the boy got tired of the exercises, Helmut finds the food delicious. Darien tells him that there are limits to the human body, and that is why he is thinking of teaching him the way of the sword from tomorrow. Darien showed Helmut what a sword is and told him to watch closely. The old man swung the piece of wood and it seems to be shining in Helmut's eyes. Darien started to swing the wood, breaking the hard floor. This is how humans survive. According to Darien, humans have an invisible source of power called vis. Helmut was excited to learn, but Darien told him his body is not ready to hold it, but the boy needs to understand the sword first. It will be difficult, miserable and painful, but he must keep at it without fainting, and the sword will reward him for this. For days Helmut was learning his body structure and complained about this. Darien asked him to address him properly, so he called him Sir. Darien told the boy that having a proper form is not everything, so he needs to understand what is not explained by Darien. Darien found Helmut strange because even though he has no appreciation for learning, he still grows faster than expected. The dark seed influences humans and makes them more prone to violence. On top of this, he still grew up with the demonic beasts. Darien suddenly hit the boy twice and said that he became weaker. Helmut was asked to explain the difference. He thinks the amount of pain was different and the speed and the places Darien hit were also different. Although the movement was the same, Darien explained that simply imitating the external appearance is not enough. The tiny differences in his muscles, the tremors in his fingertips, the movement that follows the speed and the flow, and his understanding of the mind and the sword must be under his control, so he will truly understand the sword. Darien says that resting is also part of the training, but Helmut finds it boring. Alaga appears again, and according to the leopard, he had grown a bit. Alaga is the master of the root forest central territory, so Alaga allows Darien to live there. Alaga also saved him from the two-headed snake Naho. According to Alaga, Darien's strength was not known because humans can hide it easily. She does not know who is stronger between Alaga and Darien. The reason why Naho hates Darien is because he destroyed the area that Naho had built. As a human farm, Helmut was surprised to see that the humans on the farm were forced to work, and there are also human females that Helmut has never seen before. The human females were like food for the snake. Naho prefers human females because their flesh is soft and they don't have many muscles, but the small human females are spared until they are big enough to be eaten. The males will be made slaves for life to maintain the space. The ones that maintain the farm are humans, and among them there is a leader named Erugo. He gathered people who fell in the forest. If Alaga hadn't saved him, Helmut would also be one of the slaves. When they were about to leave, Naho suddenly appeared before them. He wasn't doing anything, but Helmut felt great pressure due to his presence. Naho was interested in Helmut as he felt that the boy was somehow related to Darien. It has only been a few years since he destroyed his farm, so the snake is suspicious of Darien. Alaga told Naho that Helmut just stole his clothes for him. Alaga also warned him not to do anything to the boy or the leopard would tear him to pieces. Naho told them to go away from his territory and the boy fainted. The leopard reminded the boy that he should not travel alone from now that Naho saw him. Helmut started to wonder if he could grow as strong as Alaga or Darien. He handed Helmut to Darien. Alaga went home and promised to watch there. One night Helmut's stomach hurt so much he couldn't sleep. He was told to eat poisonous herbs before bed to help suppress the seed of the power of darkness. While Helmut was in pain, Darien stood under the moon muttering something about a certain 4-year-old. While he continued to swing his sword through the trees. Helmut has grown to enjoy himself. His body feels light and his vision seems clearer. It could be the effect of the demon soil. After months of consuming the herbs, it doesn't hurt more and feels invigorated. Darien reminded Helmut about Vis. They cannot see the power, but if your body and your application are not at the basic level of Vis training, it is useless. Helmut's body seems ready to train now, so Darien will teach him how to train Vis. Darien taught Helmut to retain the energy of the atmosphere in his body and control it freely to materialize it through his sword. This is how they control Vis. Helmut took the sword while absorbing nature's energy into him. Darien told him to think simply and move with composure while they dueled so that he would not lose the flow. Darien attacked him one after the other and Helmut lost his composure so quickly. Darien told him to use his senses and absorb more energy so that he could feel the full power. He was not perfect from the beginning, but that was okay since they will keep training like this from now on. Helmut managed to show Darien the will to train every day. 4 years after the training, Helmut was able to cut down trees with such ease. Darien asked him to show his Vis, although Darien said Helmut still lacks a lot. In fact, Helmut shows incredible growth at such a young age to be able to manifest this. Darien knew that the child would surely turn the world upside down whether for good or evil. Darien feels it is time to let Helmut go. Darien told Helmut that it was time for the boy to leave the forest before his seed of darkness grows any larger than that. He will not be able to pass through the divine barrier, so now is the only time that the human world lies beyond the southern edge of the root forest. Helmut has to pass through the divine barrier to get there. There is a certain area where it is weakened, so, in theory, he can pass through there to get to the human world. A human who can handle the weakened barrier should theoretically be able to pass. Darien himself has not found it, but another person has found it, as Erugo, who deals with the humans in Naho village. After escaping the forest, Helmut will experience numerous things in the human world. Darien assured him that by someone who has only lived in the forest, Helmut may find the outside world exciting and fun. Darien also reminded him that tragedy is not something he can stop just by having his guard up. It can't be avoided, so when the time comes he will feel helpless, but he can't get lost. So Darien has no intention of going with Helmut. He plans to take a nap and spend some time alone. After being alone for so long, tomorrow is the day he can finally leave the forest, but Alaga finds out that Helmut is unhappy. He felt complicated, but in the morning Helmut came to get his present from Darien. It was a sword and a bag. The lifespan of Darien has already come to an end, and Helmut promised to remember him. He had told Alaga about it, so the leopard was not surprised. Alaga gave the boy back something when he entered the forest. It is a rare metal pendant made of pure gold that says "Let there be light" in his oath. Margaret Irene Helmut. Maybe Helmut's mother needs to go to the human farm first. Alaga offered to help, but Helmut said he could do it alone. They said goodbye. Helmut moved into the darkness and managed to hold Erugo hostage. Black magic is an evil power that can make even a seemingly weak wizard strong. Among the numerous wizards that exist, people who crossed boundaries they shouldn't have to obtain stronger magic and power. Erugo was a wizard who was always envious and jealous of others. He dreamed of becoming the strongest, but chose the path of black magic because he felt he was not talented enough for his purposes. The dark emotions of humans were needed through activities such as human trafficking and kidnapping. He was able to easily obtain the necessary materials. Erugo became more evil and powerful as a result of the suffering and fear that emanated from his materials. However, because of the persecution of a certain wizard, his atrocities were exposed to the world. He was captured and sentenced to death or exile. To avoid being executed immediately, he chose the Forest of Roots. Eventually, he met the two-headed snake. There he received a part of the snake's territory in exchange for his submission and sacrifices. Erugo used magic to gather all the humans that were exiled to the forest. They had no choice but to submit to avoid being massacred by demonic beasts. And that's how the human farm was made. Erugo became the king of the farm while other humans were treated as mere cattle. The true master of the territory, Naho, never interfered with Erugo's work as long as he offered sacrifices while serving. Erugo began to fulfill his ambitions once again. However, every winter he couldn't help but get nervous too, because whenever Naho went into hibernation, the demonic beasts of the area attacked the farm every day. Even in such an insignificant crisis, he had some form of satisfaction with his new life. With Helmut's sword around his neck and another winter crisis for Erugo, the boy asked him how to get out of the root forest. Threatened to seize all the recordings he had because Erugo is apparently obsessed with this, so Erugo is willing to fulfill the agreement. The method Erugo found is theoretical, so no one has ever tried it or even had the ability to try it. Darien could do it, and Erugo figured he must be dead since he's not there either. Erugo offered Helmut to be his successor and live there, but Helmut wants nothing from him. The boy asked him to hand over the book he discovered in a wizard's hiding place before the wizard had sneaky magic talent. Unfortunately, he couldn't escape from the base with it. In that book there is a huge waterfall at the southern end of the forest. The water and the demonic energy weaken the divine power at the same time. Helmut should be able to pass through the barrier if he throws himself inside. The divine barrier is on the highest level, so anyone with even a little demonic energy will turn to ashes. Erugo was spared, but Helmut tied him up and told him not to do bad things. Erugo woke Niho from his deep sleep. He told him about Darien's death, Helmut, and that the disciple was there. Naho decided to go after the boy to get rid of him. Seeing all the demonic beasts running away, Helmut knew he was in great danger. He should have killed Erugo before. He ran like crazy but couldn't get out of his territory. The whole place is engulfed by demonic energy. Naho appeared before him and greeted Helmut. The boy was informed that he was a long-awaited guest by the snake. Helmut decided that he would leave after killing Naho. The snake underestimated Helmut and was about to eat him, but Helmut managed to dodge its attack. His surroundings became dusty and suddenly the snake was already circling Helmut. Helmut knew his opponent was strong, so he had to look for opportunities to attack. Regardless of how strong his demonic energy is, there will be a place where his vis can penetrate, and that is in his eye. The snake grunted in pain when Helmut hit his eye. Helmut was able to buy some time. It would be great if he could defeat it, but this is the best he can do at his current skill level. Used too much vial for that attack, so he will die if he keeps fighting. Helmut needs to escape fast, but the snake was horrified. The snake got rid of his head, whose eye was useless. Helmut managed to hide after being hit by the snake's attack. It will be harder for the snake to see now because of his lost head. Helmut managed to gain some time to hurry and escape, but the snake found him and was about to eat him alive. Suddenly the Elag came to the rescue.